India's Prime Minister Modi cozying up to America's biggest adversaries, joining Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping in China.
Fresh off a tariff fight with President Trump, Modi clasping hands with both leaders as Xi pushes for a new anti-Western world order. This happening in the lead up to a massive military parade tomorrow in China, where Iran and North Korea's leaders are also expected to join. On Truth Social, President Trump blasted the U.S.-India trade relationships as, quote, a total one-sided disaster. He also claimed India has, quote, offered to cut their tariffs to nothing, but warns it may be too late, adding they should have done so years ago.
Here to react is former Council of Economic Advisors, Acting Chair Tomas Philipson. Welcome.
Good to be with you.
The hand-holding. Oh, there was so much love.
There was a lot of love, and I think that's why the market got rattled today. I think it was more about what we saw yesterday than what happened on Friday.
Wow.
Well, I mean, there's a marriage here between a huge giant. China's about 14% of global GDP. India's about 3.5%, Russia 2.5%. So the Chinese economy is the big one, and we're so afraid of it. But, you know, China is no performer in terms of generating income for its citizens. They're only a big economy because they have a lot of people. They're 4 times the number of people we have in the US. They still don't have an aggregate economy larger than ours. That means their per capita income is less than a quarter of our income. They're a centrally planned economy. They're never going to get to our per capita income with a centrally planned economy. Russia fell apart with about a quarter of their population trying to centrally plan their economy, essentially. And China is falling apart in housing, which is a centrally planned, essentially, part of their economy. A huge part of their economy is investment in housing, which is falling apart. They're not going to get to our standard of living. The only reason they're big is because of the population size, essentially.
I'm almost feeling like you're telling us not to pay attention to it.
No, they are a rich country, but their citizens are not rich, right?
Well, that's socialism.
Yeah, no, exactly. And you know, we're trying to say that we should imitate certain part of the Chinese way of running an economy. Absolutely not. We should not have the industrial policy, which we're kind of flirting with right now with NVIDIA and Intel and sovereign wealth fund. I would be, you know, against all those things where the government gets in and try to plan the economy. And China is going to fall apart sooner or later because you can't centrally plan the activity of 1.4 billion people, essentially. It's not going to work.
I'm going to leave. I can't top that. So I'm just going to let that hang in the air.
Well, you can let it hang, but I just, again, I want to come back to this idea that there still is a significant amount of people between those 3 countries, and they do represent a significant portion of energy, commerce, export. We need them in some cases in this country today. We may not need them tomorrow. So what happens in the interim?
India,
you ignore it?
Yeah, India, for us, our manufacturers more than China.
I mean, India is the poster child of why the Trump policy, foreign policy on tariffs makes sense, right? They treated us like crap, not only with tariffs, but also non-tariff barriers. A non-tariff barrier is really like an infinite tariff. You can't even, it's not even worth it trying getting in, right? So it's like a prohibitive tariff you want. Those barriers are many times much more important than they were. So we thought we were getting to a zero here, and Trump is now, you know, obviously penalizing them from buying oil from Russia. And so there's that kind of turf going on now. But they're going to be a big economy 10, 15, whatever years from now, but they're currently not a big deal.
I want to get to this. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent revealing President Trump is considering a national housing emergency. Prices in housing are soaring. Supply is low. Earlier today, President Trump slammed Federal Reserve Chair Jay Powell for worsening the crisis. Watch this.
We need a little help from the Fed. We have a man named Jerome Too Late Powell. You probably heard of him. He's too late. He's way too late. And the economy is so strong that it's pushing through that. Normally, it would have been much tougher, but we're doing so well that we're pushing through it. But it makes it very hard for people to get mortgages because too late is too late. Very simple.
It's an affordability emergency.
Right. What kind of emergency are they going to declare, and for what reason? Because if like lowering rates at the Fed might not lower mortgage rates. It might not bring down longer term interest rates. And what's the point is like keeping housing prices propped up and making homes more expensive. But I digress. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I think we have this crisis. It's a government-generated crisis, first of all. I mean, it's a big deal for people. The biggest item is housing in their budget, essentially.
That's important.
Yeah. So, but you know, we peaked in May 22, roughly, in the Case-Shiller index of housing prices, which was COVID-induced. When the government forces you to stay at home, it turns out people value a big, nice home very well. So the prices accelerated dramatically during COVID. So the problem people now have is that both the house is expensive and the interest on the loan is expensive. So not only is the principal you have to take out to buy the house bigger, also the interest on that principal is bigger. And that's why the monthly costs are being driven up to crisis level, I would say.
Dagan, I wouldn't be surprised if part of this emergency is generating some activity in rural areas where homes can be built at lower costs, the land can be cheaper, and then you build these tariff-exempt districts where steel and lumber and things like that that are used to build can actually be exempt from those, giving you affordable housing.
I couldn't agree more. It's a government solution to a government problem.
That's right.
The government is it's a government who has regulated too much, they held on to the land too much, and they have tariffs they would need to exempt for this problem, essentially. So
Now you just have to make people want to live in rural America because you wind up your kids talking like me.
You know, but you build factories, that's why you bring jobs back
Yep.
here.
Good to see you, Tom Philipson.
good to be with
Thank
you
you,
guys.
sir. Appreciate it.